Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pop Go the Writers. Today we have a ton of stuff to speak about. Oh my lord!
Yeah, a virtual ton.
Yeah, D23 was and wasn't what people expected. I know that there's a lot. There's a lot of people out there going, D23 was disappointing, and it's like, well, that's because you set your expectations too high. Marvel did not promise anything they didn't deliver. They gave us a live performance of Rogers the Musical.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us uh, the director of Fantastic Four. They never said they were giving us the cast.
Mm-mm.
They gave us the villain for Captain America: New World Order,
Mm-hmm.
which is who I've been saying is going to pop up in She-Hulk. So
I knew that would make you very happy.
I did. He walked out. I'm like,
It's the actual guy.
yep. Also, we're going to introduce Sabra, the Israeli superhero. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that came out of D23.
Mm-hmm.
And if none of that excites you, just the picture of Harrison Ford hugging young, the guy that plays Short Round 4 years later.
38 years.
Yeah, that's it. 38 years.
38 years.
And just.
But he's not in the movie, though, right?
What?
He's not in the movie, though.
No, he's going to be in Loki.
Right.
And he was just in that Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, Amy, welcome. Glad to see you. So, yeah, I mean, D23, I think, was great. They put out a lot of interesting news.
From a certain point of view.
Thank you, Ben. We got the video game coming out that is Captain America set in World War II. You can play Cap. You can play Black Panther's grandfather, Azuri. You can play, which is also the rumor that I'm hearing, Black Panther's son is going to be named. You can play as Gabe Jones of the Howling Commandos.
Wow.
Or you can play as a member of the Dora Milaje. That's pretty interesting in a video game set in World War II Paris, made by the guys that do Uncharted, or the woman who created Uncharted. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that. We got Matt Shackman going to be the Fantastic Four director, which we've been hearing, but finally confirmed. We got, like I said, the New World Order cast, along with Carl Lumley coming back as Isaiah Bradley.
Yes. Wow. Huh?
Yeah. Danny Ramirez coming back as Joaquin. And he's going to probably become the new Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we get Tim Blake Nelson out there as the leader, which doesn't mean he won't show up in She-Hulk. I still think he will. I think it's even more of a possibility now that he's already back in the MCU.
And we get Bucky, but not where you think it is.
That's how I did the leader. I've been doing TikTok stories on the latest news, and it was the leader's back, but not where you think it would be. Yeah. So the Thunderbolts lineup. There's another one that everybody was like, "Oh, this will be the lineup. This will be the lineup." No Abomination. No Baron Zemo. It doesn't come across like the. Somebody said, "Oh, it's their version of the Suicide Squad." One version of the Thunderbolts was like Suicide Squad, but this is not a bunch of villains. I mean, Yelena Belova, Sebastian Stan, Bucky Barnes, Taskmaster, who will be the same one from the Black Widow movie.
Who was not at the show, though, right?
She wasn't at the show, but Fahey said Olga Kuryakin, the same actress who played her in that, it will play her again.
Yeah, Black Widow, yeah.
David Harbour's coming back as Red Guardian.
That was a nice surprise.
Oh yeah, I loved Red Guardian, so I love that. That to me is awesome.
I'm not real fond of the outfit that they I wish it looked a little bit more like the one that he could barely fit in, but
yeah.
well,
And
yeah,
then,
you know what? I looked at them as a lineup of ne'er-do-wells rather than
yeah,
villains,
like a redemption tour and U.S.
Yeah.
Agent and Ghost and
Winter
Val, of
Soldier.
course. Yeah, Winter Soldier, Bucky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now we don't know if he's going to go by Winter Soldier, if he's going to take a new name by then.
Sure, I understand, but just him being there, I think, was probably a surprise to everybody, expecting that he would be in Cap, New World Order.
Yep. Even Anthony Mackie was a little upset by that in the after interviews. He's like, Sebastian goes off, does a movie without me, man. I don't know what's going on.
I think there's still a chance that he might have some kind of part in it,
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a little weird if they didn't at least check in with him.
Right. So, but that was a lot of news coming out of D23.
Yeah, and some trailers.
Yeah. The Werewolf by Night trailer. Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah.
It felt like a cross between old schlock horror movies and Universal monster movies.
Yep. Jim was very happy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I think the thing that made me the happiest was the people complaining that it's going to be in black and white.
I love that it's in black and white. I love everything about it.
I saw one guy. The best part was somebody said, "What are you talking about? Black and white is great." And he goes, or they go, "You don't get it. That's like the Universal monster movies of old." And he goes, "Yeah, and those don't hold up anymore." And you know what I say to that? Good, more for the rest of us. Don't watch it. Yeah.
Everybody complained that Marvel was doing the same thing over and over again.
Oh, I know.
They're doing all these different things, and they're complaining about it.
No. In fact, what they're doing is everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's literally there should be a Marvel project for you. That's where we're at right now. It's like, okay, you don't like She-Hulk because it's all comedy or whatever, then we've got a black and white old-time horror werewolf special for you. And I love that. Marvel Studios special presentation.
Yes.
Werewolf by Night.
And the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special will also be a special presentation.
Yeah.
But
good times. My God, and I love the Secret Invasion trailer. Wow.
That had that Winter Soldier vibe to it.
Yeah. There's everything. You know what? It's like we say in Northwest Ohio, don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and it'll change. Don't like a Marvel Studios project, just wait 5 minutes and they'll announce something that you will like.
Yeah. I mean, they brought everybody out. They brought the Loki cast out. They brought the Echo cast out. And then Vincent D'Onofrio wouldn't leave the stage. He says, "I want to talk about my other show."
Yeah.
And then you hear off screen, "Don't you mean my show?" And Charlie Cox comes walking out.
Yeah.
And they talk about Daredevil. So it's like, I don't know what else Marvel could do at this point. I think people just want to be upset with them.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. If you're going to still be upset, then it's because you've set your mind to being upset. And I get it. Not everybody likes everything.
Yeah.
But chances are they're going to get around to whatever the hell it is you like. Oh, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, not everything is for you. They're doing, it's like I finally sat down and watched Thor: Love and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
That one wasn't particularly for me.
Mm-hmm.
There were some moments in it I thought were cool, some things that happened that are interesting.
Yeah.
But that whole opening with the Guardians, I could have done without.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah, they kind of blink and they're gone.
Well, just the whole Thor acting all over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't enjoy the character that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's been humbled multiple times. So to go back to that constantly, it's like, really, again?
It's not that I found that it's not that memorable of a film. I enjoyed it while it was going on and while I was watching it. But when I saw that you said, "Oh, you watched it," and I thought, "Oh yeah, wait a minute. Now what happens in that one again?" I'll probably rewatch it, in a few weeks or so.
Yeah, it's not one that I would turn off if it like came on and not going to get up to get the remote type of thing.
Yeah,
But it's also not one I'm going to seek out to watch again.
yeah, yeah.
The Ragnarok again. It's not the Thor I want,
I remember you saying, yeah.
but it had a decent story. I could enjoy it, put that aside, and enjoy the film.
Mm-hmm.
This one I felt they tried to tackle much more serious conversations or much more serious stuff,
Yeah.
and it didn't really work. It's like, Jane's cancer, dying of cancer, in the middle of this just silly, over the top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but it's on Disney Plus now. I watched the making of too, which I thought was actually better.
You know what? I think I have that still to watch. I just watched the making of Obi-Wan special, which I enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah, haven't had a chance to watch that one yet.
I could have used a little bit more Star Wars news from D23 if I'm going to be complaining about anything. I think I was hoping for a little bit more Star Wars news, like the announcement of an actual feature film would have been
Well,
nice.
there is a lot of talk right now that there's not going to be a Star Wars movie announced until 2024. They're putting them aside for now. We're just focusing on the series and kind of rebuilding things.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay says, I didn't really like it, but I'm not going to waste my time crying about it or ripping it apart on the internet. I just move on. Yep, I assume he means Thor, but yeah, that's...
No, I think he means this show. Go ahead, Jay. Complain about it. We don't care.
Yeah, but I mean, I give my opinion because I do this show and I do my other shows. It's part of my job. Right. But overall, I then let it go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought the Star Wars announcements. I don't know about Skeleton Crew. We got a picture of Jude Law with a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
We'll see what that's about. I thought the Mandalorian trailer looked really good.
And it looked like what was shown at Celebration.
Okay.
If I understand, if I remember the shaky cell phone footage that we had already seen, sort of, it looked pretty much like that. Which is not to say it wasn't exciting. It was very exciting. It's just way too far off in the future. Yeah. I want that now, November or December.
Yeah. We've still got Andor coming up, which looks good to me.
We do. And I think I'm going to shut up a little bit about that once Andor comes out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Ahsoka, they cast Ezra Bridger. So that's moving along.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I think we're going to get a lot of Star Wars. It's just not going to be features. They're going to focus on Disney Plus for maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
I mean, there is talk of the Taika Waititi's movie. There's talk about Kevin Feige's movie. Mm-hmm. There's still Rogue Squadron that's supposed to be in the works.
Supposedly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I imagine it's that, I don't know. They say if we're going to return to movie theaters, we're going to do it absolutely right this time, and if that means taking our time, then that's what's going to happen. We also have the Indiana Jones movie too, even if it doesn't have Marion Ravenwood in it.
Yeah, well, if they had her in it, then they'd have to explain Shia LaBeouf either not coming back,
or
coming back, and nobody wants him back.
Yeah. I'm going to be very interested to see how they handle that, or if they just don't handle it. If it's literally just they don't mention those characters at all. It would be nice if they at least mentioned his marriage. And I hope it's not that his marriage has been, is broken up or anything like that. Yeah, they can get away with not mentioning the Mutt or whatever the hell his name was. It looks like they have a new character that's his goddaughter. Helena is the character's name. So, it's like, okay, we didn't get our Indiana Jones Jr., so let's have a young female Indiana Jones type of character.
Yeah, maybe her name will be Laura Croft. Wouldn't that be awesome? Just tie them together.
Evil, Dan. Evil. Plain evil.
So, well, was there anything that surprised you coming out of D23?
No, no, not really at all. It was just nice to have some new things going on. New trailers and everything else. It makes me, as usual, jealous that I'm not there. I really think that would be incredible to be in the hall for one of those really big shows when they do those announcements. Maybe someday, but no, nothing terribly surprising. I find that I wasn't too disappointed about not getting an FF cast.
Mm-hmm.
My assumption is that they may not have the ink may not be dry on all 4 actors' contracts, or that there's still one holdout or whatever. It could be simply just something like that they're not 100% certain of all 4 of the cast members at this point.
It could be that. It could be that they don't have any of the cast members yet.
It could be that too, which I would say, you probably should get going on that,
Or they've already got all 4 of them cast. They're locked down, and they filmed them for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and we'll learn about it then. As a surprise,
you are not going to let go of that, are you?
I'm not, because
you are just like all the other Marvel fans, setting your expectations way too high.
No. There's a difference.
Okay.
I think that would be cool, and I'd like them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't do it, I'm fine. Just like if Abomination, what?
Nothing. I was just talking to everybody else real quick there.
I'm a writer, so I come up with ideas how I would do things.
Sure.
Now, I could see them doing that because there's stuff like Peyton Reed saying there are some big surprises still, some cameos they haven't talked about for that movie. There's also the mention of there was particular rumors that another super group is actually going to be introduced in it. But again, that could be completely BS.
Or it could be the Thunderbolts.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or the Defenders.
Yeah. And then also Peyton Reed first got on Marvel's radar by pitching them a Fantastic Four movie.
Sure.
So,
no, I understand completely. It's not going to happen, but I understand completely.
Well, they did introduce Spider-Man in Civil War.
I totally know that.
So, and that's another character they're rescuing from another company.
Yeah, it's almost like they're promising us that Fantastic Four will be in Quantumania, and then we'll all be crushed and say, what happened when they're
not. I'm not going to be crushed because there's no guarantee. They haven't said they're going to be in there, so it's speculation. And that's the thing about speculation. You can do it. It's fun to speculate. But when speculation becomes facts in your mind, or they have to do it that way.
Remember, when you speculate, you make an ass out of you and me.
I don't think that's the same. I mean, I assume there was a saying you were trying to go for.
If only I was a writer, I could have probably said that better.
So, all right.
Jay said he loves the show. Thank you, Jay. We appreciate that. Well, I appreciate it. I'm not so sure about Dan, but I appreciate it.
We all appreciate it.
Okay.
I think D23 was a lot of fun. I mean, I covered it from home, and was putting out news stories both on TikTok and then also for somebody I do some postings for. So I put up a bunch of stuff all day, and Willow and things like that.
Oh yeah, Willow.
Yeah, Christian Slater is going to be in Willow.
Wow.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but no word about Val Kilmer. So
maybe that's the big surprise.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Also, they released the trailer for National Treasure: Edge of History, and I thought, oh god, this is going to be—is that Harvey Keitel? And yes, it's Harvey Keitel.
Wow.
So Harvey Keitel is reprising his role as the cop, Sadetsky, and Justin Bartha is playing Riley again. So they do have a couple characters from the original thing coming back. So that could be interesting.
It's all about nostalgia.
It is, but it's easy.
It really is. We're living in the nostalgia age, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, but it's easier to walk into a movie studio and go, "Hey, I got this idea for a new TV show," and it comes with a built-in audience. Whether it's a comic book audience or a novel audience or a video game audience, or in this case, a previous franchise audience. It's why Disney is doing another run on Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It's why we're seeing a lot of these things come back. It's why they did a sequel or a new series of Turner and Hooch.
Yeah. It's why there was an Indiana Jones short round reunion.
Yeah. I think they would just wanted to see each other again.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. I think there's something else going on there, and that was like a big hint or a promise. And hey, Zorro's in the new Indiana Jones movie.
Antonio Banderas?
Yeah. Did you see that? He's in the cast.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And Phoebe Waller-Bridger. So should be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I pretend Crystal Skull doesn't exist, and
I have to rewatch it. It's been, I think, since back then that I watched it. I didn't hate it, but it was fun to have Mary. Oh, Sala is in it, and I wondered about that. But yes, John Rhys Davies is in it. That's good. That's good.
So, yeah. Like I said, I look forward to it. I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll go to the theater and watch it, but I'll definitely catch it on Disney Plus when it pops up. But I may go see it because the final time. Ford said it's his final time as MD.
Sure. Yeah, I think it probably should be.
Yeah. Indiana Jones and the hip surgery of doom.
Well, he keeps falling down and hurting himself.
True, usually on set.
Yeah.
Or in an airplane.
Yeah. Sometimes both.
Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and move on from D23.
Okay.
And we talked a little bit about Thor: Love and Thunder and how neither one of us were exactly big fans of it, but didn't hate it. Just, So let's go on to She-Hulk.
Okay.
And this episode of She-Hulk, I thought there was some humorous parts to it. I expected to hate Madison and actually found her to be kind of funny, which is totally outside of my normal range of funny because there was some intelligent stuff to her too.
She's almost a little too realistic.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, she's Mephisto.
Now, why didn't I think of that? I'm really ashamed of myself.
Mad I Sin.
Oh.
She
Of
made a
course.
deal. She made a deal with a goat named Jake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
sold her soul. She gave 3 drops of blood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
there's something there.
Or that's just a joke on all of us.
I
You
know.
know, like Twitter armor is a joke on
Yes.
all of us.
Yeah.
I actually like that part. Well, I felt stupid because I didn't realize that the whole plot about the well, if you want to call it a plot about the being attacked by the wrecking crew and saying the boss ain't gonna like this and all of that. And I was I watched this new episode and I thought, oh, they didn't even continue that at all. And then I found out that they did, but we just didn't know it. Have you ever heard this theory?
Are you talking about the guy she dates that asks her all the questions?
Yeah, and about the hey, is your skin impenetrable? What about by vibranium? And you don't have any on you? Well, no. I
Yeah.
wish I did, but yeah, they so they speculate that guy is thinking is like the boss or works for the boss,
Yeah.
or they're trying to think of ways because they couldn't get the needle thing in her. So
I don't think he's the boss, but I think he was scouting. You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I thought of that when I was like, those are some really weird questions. Yeah.
I didn't think of it at the time. I had to watch my Easter egg video to get a clue in on that one. But it is interesting if that's the case because I kind of wondered why they set up what I thought was finally a plot for the show,
Mhm.
and then not do anything more with it. So yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that is a definitely a tap at the main plot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because otherwise that whole thing was just, yeah, she's trying to figure out her social life, but we're not really connecting the A and B plot. That kind of connects them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
yeah.
I also saw that there was a little bit of a debate going on about who was in the right and who was in the wrong between her and the so-called hot doctor
Uh,
that in the morning he wakes up and she's Jen, and then suddenly he's not good with that and he takes off really quick. My gut reaction is like, wow, he turned out to be a jerk. And then somebody said, no, actually, that's all on her because she misrepresented herself. And I saw a really interesting debate about that. And it was kind of like a, oh, well, kind of a moment in the show, but it actually was a little bit more profound once I started seeing the debate. And I don't usually care for any of the stupid debates that go on the internet, but I thought that one was really interesting where they said, there was two camps, like, oh, sure, the guy turned out to be a jerk, like, what would be the big deal if she's Jen? And then somebody else said that thing about, oh no, she misrepresented herself. He stayed with one woman and wakes up with a different one, in a way that's not on him, that's on her. And then somebody tried to argue, like, no, everybody in the world knows that Jen Walters is the She-Hulk. Why would that guy not? No, so it kind of went back and forth. I don't know. I found it kind of an interesting debate on it,
yeah.
and and then it's valid for that show, I think.
Yeah. But also, it's like when he got nervous, why didn't she just shift back?
Yeah, that's a really good point too. I mean, I took away from it that it's like she is, to herself, she is Jen, and that's all there is. And if people don't like her as Jen, too bad. But yeah, so I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure how we're supposed to feel coming out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're supposed to feel that he was kind of a jerk.
Yeah, there's scenes coming up that we've seen from trailers and things like that it appears that she starts to really get into being She-Hulk and starts to get some ego going
Yeah.
about being She-Hulk, and I assume it's then she's going to be in for kind of a big fall from that. about who she really is. So that this could be sort of the beginning of that line,
Could be.
of reasoning throughout this.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. I'm not sure where the show is going at this point. It's kind of, they do have that overall plot. We're going to get Titania back, as she's suing for the trademark name.
I'm intrigued by that, especially after the scene that we've been shown, which I believe is the coming episode, where she's talking to the other character whose name I can't think of right now. But the woman said, like, you didn't copyright your pseudonym, and she's like, why would I have to do that? What's interesting about that is that she doesn't necessarily call herself She-Hulk. She
Right.
can just keep going around not doing it, and then just say, hey, I can't help it what everybody else calls me.
Yeah.
But as long as she's not presenting herself under that name, then it shouldn't really matter. Although it's going to hit her in the ego, because she's starting to get used to that name, and she may want to try to do something about the cease and desist.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see if Bruce trademarked the name.
Yeah, in several different ways. Hulk, the Hulk, the
Yeah, because if
Incredible
he
Hulk.
did, that could actually work against Titania.
Yeah. So what are we to believe? That when did Titania copyright the name? Once she first heard Jen being called that, or are we to believe that she had already, for some strange reason, come up with that name?
That I don't know.
Okay. I'm sure
That
we're
would
going to
be,
find out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's be the big topic on a lot of that. But
Yeah. I think that's so far the thing that's intriguing me the most in this show is the legal world. I think that is very fascinating, to have the idea of mixing legalities with superheroing, something that many years ago, especially when we were growing up reading comic books, we didn't really think about. If there was stuff about legal things, it didn't necessarily have anything to do with being a superhero. Kurt Busiek in Astro City was I think one of the first guys to really start to really hit home with how is it treated in a court of law when there's magic, or alien shapeshifters, and things like that, and the ramifications from that.
what I find interesting is that this is our fourth court case that we've been introduced to in this show, and so far half of them, the client has been a lawyer.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Yeah. So one superhero, one supervillain, and two lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
For a superhero or superhuman division, that seems a little odd.
Wait until the superhero lawyer comes on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, we did see a clip over the weekend of Daredevil, or there's a trailer for upcoming, and we get to see both Matt Murdock and Daredevil.
Great.
And now I get the feeling that maybe the two of them hook up. Or at least she's attracted to him.
Well, it would be nice if Matt Murdock liked Jen as Jen.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
True, but he's also blind, so.
Well, okay, but you know what I mean. If he, I'm sure he can hear the difference in the voices and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can sense the difference in height.
True. But so, what did you think of the show overall this episode?
I'm enjoying it at the exact same level. I've been at this very even level throughout these episodes of it, and because I totally accept it for what it is. It's just it's very different. It's mostly comedy, and it's a very interesting corner of the MCU, and and if it's going to keep being about guest stars and cameos, then I say bring it on. And I've said it before how much I like her. I'm so glad that I like her, because it would have been harder to take as a show if I did not like Tatiana in this. And I like her as both characters too. In fact, maybe even a little bit more as Jen. You know, and I'm glad they're kind of being they're being a little conservative with the breaking the fourth wall. It's not constant, and I kind of like that. They're holding it out for good zingers, and they're not just doing it constantly. So I like that. I especially like this one, like right in the beginning. Oh, you look really happy.
Yeah,
like she can see me, like shades of Romper Room when you hid your face because Miss Sue was looking at you and said your name.
Miss Sue, huh?
Yeah.
We had Miss Marianne.
Oh, ooh, no, ours was Miss Sue, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we had Miss Marianne, and she actually lived near us, and we would see her at the grocery store.
Oh, so she actually was seeing you.
Yes. Yes,
and I see Dan Wickline.
Yeah. From what I understand, she only passed away a couple of years ago. But yeah, we would see her at the parking lot of the. We're at a point now. This is kind of a weird neighborhood where we used to have like 6 grocery stores in the area.
Yeah.
And because culturally a lot of stuff has changed.
Yeah.
So we really only have one major grocery store, and then we have like a Hispanic grocery store, and we have an Asian grocery store. But so pretty much most people go to that one grocery store. So if you live in this area, you go to that grocery store. And I don't live in a little small rural area. I live in the suburbs. So it's really weird.
Yeah, I bet.
So I liked it. The tags are what get me, because the first tag I thought was hilarious. Mm-hmm. The Captain America. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The second one, I'm like, she's doing stuff around the house, whatever. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I'm blanking on the third. What was the third one?
Twerking.
Okay, I thought that was silly fun. Mm-hmm. But this latest one, it was like, all right, what is the connection between the two of them? Is there going to be dating between them? Because she doesn't have a sling ring and she's at Carmitage.
Yeah.
That means Wong actively brought her back.
Yeah, they're just besties, just like she said. That's all it is. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. I think, which would be kind of refreshing. I'm a little bit more intrigued by what does he mean by the wedding?
Yeah, the wedding.
You don't just drop something about that in the MCU. Wedding? Yeah, like what wedding? Whose wedding? Yeah. Why wedding?
Yeah. And how did they get the rights to the Alabama 3 song? Because I don't think Sopranos is Disney.
I don't know. It has a lot of lawyers in this show, so something happened.
I'm sitting there. I'm
trusting that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I am a fan of the band itself that does that song. Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of their albums, and suddenly I hear that, I'm like, they're playing Alabama. I don't think they're watching Sopranos. I think they're playing Alabama 3. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly okay, he's watching the Sopranos, but he's grooving to that song too before she pops in.
The real key here will be, can the character of Wong be used seriously again after this show? I give him a lot of credit for taking this character down this path and being okay with it. But I'm really hoping that, as much as it's been really fun seeing him, having him in this, he's funny, he can be funny, that we can also still get him in a serious way again in the future.
I don't think that's a problem because I think that the humor he's doing, his reactions to things,
Yeah,
aren't that different that he's been doing.
You're right. He's not acting silly himself.
Yeah.
He's kind of, you're right, kind of straight laced, and when he says stuff that's funny, it is in a sort of a straight laced manner. In some ways, that's almost like Adam West in the Batman TV series. He played a very serious, straight laced guy that was in the middle of a very strange world, and
Yes.
he delivered everything in that straight manner, but it came off, as funny. So in a way, it is like that. I see what you're saying, but I never ever imagined we'd see Wong, being called Wongers by a girl who
Yeah, but we've
spelled her
learned
name
so
in a
much
weird
about
way
him.
and was constantly drinking.
Well, but I've learned so much about him. I mean, we've learned so much about him, even going back to, he is someone that gets pulled into pop culture.
Yeah,
He started listening to Beyonce
yeah,
after Doctor Strange made the references. He just hadn't been experienced. He'd been in the library for those years,
yeah.
but prior to that, he worked at a Target in Nepal, so he had those experiences.
Yeah, I can connect with him just for his love of tuna melts.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel. Well, he's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. Mark says, "Happy Sunday, Jets. I'm not digging She-Hulk." Well, I am sorry. I know a lot of people aren't. Some people are. We're enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
I and I think Jim as well are kind of happy that Marvel is taking all these divergent paths. They're doing all these different things, trying things.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be for everybody. But
my question would be is to Mark: is it that you just don't want a comedy MCU comedy show, or the idea of that is okay, but you don't think they're doing it very well? So that's how I would ask the question.
yeah, that's a good question. So, all right. Well, Mark gets back to us with that. Let's move on to the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power,
Mm.
and Arondir.
I got questions. It's the same questions I'm sure everybody has, but boy, do I got questions.
Okay, Mark says he doesn't think they're doing it well.
Okay. Well, it's a
valid
opinion. Yeah. Valid opinion.
Yep.
I get it.
So, all right, Mr. Beard, what are your questions?
I don't even know where to start. Is Halbrand who he says or acts like he is, or or is he somebody more, or is he just simply this guy named Halbrand who, I mean, he's hiding something, but maybe it's not the thing that a lot of people think that he's hiding. They're really dropping some, interesting hints. Especially he's walking through Numenor and he keeps focusing on the stuff about the forges, and tries to get access to a forge himself. And I'm thinking that's a little too on the nose, know. But that's very, very interesting. And I think it's going to be a case where everybody's going to have these high expectations and it's not going to turn out to be like that. He's being a little duplicitous when Galadriel points out that like he might be the king that's missing from his people. Yeah. It might be just a case where he doesn't want to hear about that because he's embarrassed that his people, his ancestors or whoever sided with Morgoth during the Great War. Maybe he just doesn't want to have that lineage. That if he is the next in line to be the king of those people. I think it's very interesting. I'm actually more intrigued now about that character than when he was first introduced, because I thought I saw where it was going, and I didn't much care for it. Like like I really hope that there's no sort of romance between him and Galadriel, which should be kind of
Yeah.
stupid in a way.
Yeah. Mark says the talking to the at the camera kills me. I don't know if you mean that's a good or bad thing, but it's something that the She-Hulk character has done since the 80s
Yeah.
when John Byrne did the series. Breaking the fourth wall
Mhm.
was She-Hulk's long before Deadpool,
Yeah.
long before a lot of characters.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, I would say, okay, does Deadpool doing it, bother you, or is it literally just breaking the fourth wall thing that? And I understand that not everybody would be able to roll with such a concept
Yeah.
because in the MCU we haven't had anything like that
Yeah.
before.
Well, hell, Bruce Willis used to do it in Moonlighting.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Halbrand, to me, I think you're right. It's almost like they're trying to go, this is Sauron
Mm-hmm.
over here. Sauron's over here. And as soon as they do that, you want to go, you're not Sauron. No, no, I'm not buying it. So, but then again, we don't know these writers, so they may not be that clever.
Yeah.
Could be, no, this is Sauron. We're just telling you, it's Sauron.
I'm more apt to believe the theories that he is destined to become one of the ring wraiths, one of the Nazgul. And I kind of like that theory because they were kings
Yeah,
of
men, yeah.
men, and they were given the one. Each one was given one of the 9 rings that were forged for men. And then the even more popular theory is that he is the ring wraith, the witch king of Angmar. Which is interesting. That guy was supposedly a king of the northern realms, and
And this is
supposedly Halbrand is from the Southlands. Which that's another thing that's I'm really enjoying about this show is that whole thing of the Southlands is taking place in what will become Mordor. And we see the very beginning of the desolation of Mordor with the orcs, and they're going along and digging shit up and destroying trees and everything else. This thing with Adar is really also very interesting. From what I understand, he isn't supposed to be anything but a new villain character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that he's working for Sauron or thinks that he is, but he's not. He's not Sauron. Yeah, the word means father, so he could literally be the guy that created the orcs, because orcs were created from elves, and this guy looks like he might be an elf, so he might be like an elf turned bad.
Yeah.
But that's a really fascinating line if it turns out that this is the guy that changed elves into orcs, and that therefore they call him father.
Yeah.
That would be really fascinating.
Yeah. I was stunned until you and I started talking. I didn't click. I knew the name Isildur. I didn't realize. I thought, well, they just reused names.
Right.
That's
No, this is the Isildur and the Elendil, who his father, and they are destined for very important roles. Elendil actually becomes the a king of shoot. He'll end up they escape what's spoiler alert, the fall of Numenor,
mm-hmm.
being that they're mariners, that helps, and then he becomes one of the first kings of men, in Middle Earth after that, and he does have a special sword, Narsil. We don't really think that that's the sword that the queen regent gave to him.
Mm-hmm.
It might be, but it didn't seem that was that special of a sword. She didn't make that big of a deal of
Yeah.
it. But that's the thing is he has a sword called Narsil in the big final battle with Sauron. When Sauron has the One Ring and Elendil is destined to die in that battle, and when he falls, Isildur takes up a shard of Narsil and cuts the ring off of Sauron's finger, which leads to his defeat. And then that wonderful moment. I think it's Elrond who actually then says to Isildur, "Take the ring off, dude," and he says, "Nope."
Into the fire.
Yeah, and then he has to die for the ring to move along on its journey to eventually get to Gollum, and then to Bilbo, and then to Frodo.
Well, there's a whole nother season. How do we get the ring from Isildur uh, to the lake that Gollum finds it in?
Yeah. I presume that this show ends with the Sauron defeated, and
Well, I think
whether or not they go past that.
I think their deal is to do at least 5 seasons.
Yep, like
That's
like
part of the
50,
deal.
50 episodes or so.
So we're going to get a lot of Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Still a horrible name.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Somebody watched the show and just commented, "Appendix Rings of Power, LOL." So my joke from last, somebody really found that funny. I'm even more curious about the stranger now.
The Meteor Man, yeah.
Yeah, because he's acting more and more like a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and Gandalf in particular. Again, it just seems too on the nose.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, I say he's acting like a wizard because I believe that Sylvester McCoy's performance of Radagast was also in that same vein as Gandalf's, and that somewhat absent-minded, somewhat naive, yet very powerful. So I don't necessarily think that we're supposed to say, "Oh, that's Gandalf."
Yeah.
I think we're supposed to say, "Oh, that's a wizard."
Yeah. I wonder if they're even allowed to use the name Gandalf. I'd almost like it to be this that they eventually reveal that he is a wizard. He's one of the I'm forgetting the word. Istari, I think, is the name, is what the wizards are called. And then just sort of leave it at that. And like the show ends, and we're not sure which one he is at all. I think I said it before. I don't need him to be Gandalf. I almost wish he's not Gandalf. A wizard is absolutely fine. He's already been shown to be doing wizard-like things, or to have magical powers or whatnot.
I think it would be interesting if it was Saruman.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
Yeah, because I got the impression that Saruman got corrupted by Sauron, that he wasn't necessarily bad in the beginning.
Yes, I'm sure he probably had an ego. He probably had a little lust for power in him. But yes, that is supposedly what the deal was, is that he got caught up in what Sauron was doing, and made a decision that Sauron was the better path to go.
Yeah. And Saruman is supposed to be the first of the warlocks that come down.
That I'm not a Tolkien scholar enough to be able to say. I only know that I thought that they all kind of came around the same time, but
from what I've seen, is Saruman is the first that shows up, and then the rest come slowly after.
Okay. I'm really enjoying sort of being I've been immersing myself in and around Tolkien scholars, and it's a fascinating world because it's deep. I mean, the Tolkien just he spent years creating every last little detail of this world. It's got to be one of the most detailed fantasy worlds ever, if not the most detailed.
Oh yeah.
There's a real the guy that I like on YouTube is Nerd of the Rings. Like he really seems to know his stuff, and he pronounces everything very in very particular careful ways. It's so funny to hear his videos and when he says Dagor Braga and all this, the I'm trying to think of the other thing that he says that always amuses me. Oh, it's the ice bridge that the some of the elves went over before the sundering of the world, and it's the I can't think of it now, but I love the way he says it.
Yeah, for me, it's always interesting how much the first vowel in words gets rolled.
Mm-hmm.
Like Morgoth, it's Morgoth.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Galadriel,
like,
however she says that, yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, Morgoth. It's like,
Yeah.
it's Morgoth. No, Morgoth. Oh, okay, Morgoth. No,
I really
Morgoth.
liked when Galadriel, when the Queen Regent asked Galadriel to name herself, and she gave those titles. That was a really cool moment. Like she just starts rattling off all this, really cool stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well, this is Galadriel! Wow!"
Yep. Yeah, that's right up there with, yeah. I've been watching so much coverage of the Queen's passing and all the title shifting and stuff, and it's like you almost feel sorry for these guys because it's like, he's the Duke of this and he's the Earl of that and he's the of the another prince of this thing and then he's the king. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've just been so busy with work and with doing other things that I normally, well, my late wife would have been totally immersed in all of that. She really did enjoy stuff to do with the royal family, and I would have been watching some of it too, but I barely seen any of it all. But I do, I'm an American, but I do find all the ins and outs of that stuff fascinating. The titles and the protocols and all of that it still exists in the year 2022,
Yeah.
and especially when you get the hint. But this is really interesting, Dan, because this is really connecting in with Lord of the Rings of Power, the sense of history that we get from certain lines. And it's the same this with the royal family. When you start to hear about this or that, and you get all these little hints of history, and then you start to go, what was the deal, why with the king, whatever it is 1,000 years ago, when they told him, hey buddy, you're not going to have all the power anymore that you used to have, and it's been like that ever since. And that is really interesting. I did, now that I'm thinking about it, that this sort of same thing going on in the show.
Well, it's like, I don't have a great understanding of the lineage, even though I'm first generation Americans on my mom's side. My mother was born in Gloucestershire, in England. So
Wow.
my grandmother was born in County Cork. My grandfather was born in Wales. So it's all from that area.
Yeah.
And I was listening, and I heard them talking about how Queen Elizabeth wasn't supposed to be queen because her father wasn't supposed to be king.
Right.
His brother abdicated the throne because he wanted to marry an American divorcee. And I was talking to Lisa about all this, and I said, and her father was King George VI, and my mother was, she was born when King George was still in power, and when he died, she was pulled out of school, even though they were over here by then. She was pulled out of school by her mother and all that. As I was thinking about all that, I went, wait a minute. Isn't that the King's Speech movie? Isn't that about King George?
I think that's correct. Yeah.
It is. That is about, that's about Elizabeth's father. And so that kind of clicks in, and I'm like, oh, which kind of makes sense why she seemed to be really have an affinity for Biden, because both Biden and her father had speech problems, had stutters. It's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
And just like in the show, the tensions run high. When Galadriel says, "Well, you guys were gifted this island," and they said, "No, wait, hold on a second. No, we paid for this island, okay? You know."
And our ancestors'
And
blood.
I see a little bit of that. A lot of people, uh, strong emotions about the passing of Elizabeth, almost all predominantly good. And
Yeah,
then I saw in the middle of all of that, the when they said, okay, Charles goes up to be king, he no longer can be Prince of Wales. That is, William becomes Prince of Wales. And I saw somebody from Wales bring up the old argument or whatever about we don't need an English prince for our country,
yeah.
and that's really interesting then to see that same, a fictional, almost fictional version of that going on in Lord of the Rings. How interesting that is, that the old resentments,
Mhm.
and we're seeing that the Numenorians are resenting the elves.
Yeah,
I don't want to trivialize what goes on in Ireland and Wales and England and Scotland, and I know, that's obviously much more serious
but
of a thing, but it is an interesting parallel.
and it would definitely influence Tolkien at that time.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff was fresh, and you know,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elizabeth has been in power for so long that a lot of that is not as prevalent. But now, but back when we'd have a king for 10 years and then another king, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it would come up
Yeah.
more often. So,
Longest reigning monarch in British history. It was really interesting to see Paul McCartney talking about it. That he said that he's been around for her entire reign.
yeah.
He saw her entire reign. You remember, watching it on black and white TV when she was during the coronation,
Mhm.
and then meeting her. He said 6 or 7 different times, and talking about each one of those times that he met her, and how full of humor she was. That she was actually a very a funny person.
Are you the one that posted the picture of her and like Paul McCartney and
Yeah.
Elton John? There was somebody I didn't recognize in the picture.
And I can't think of who it is, and I had to sit and think about it. I got that. I'm trying to remember what page put that up. Yeah, that second guy, because it's Elton John. And when I heard the name, I thought, okay, yeah, I kind of know that name. The lady next to him is oh crap, she sang 3 James Bond songs. She sang Goldfinger. Shirley Bassey.
Yes.
That's Shirley Bassey. And then Paul's in there, and Tom Jones.
Yeah.
Talk about Wales.
Yes.
The Tom Jones is in that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a wonderful little picture that is. But yeah, I can't think of who that other guy is. But he is somebody well known, and I think he was nice. Everybody in there was either a sir or a dame. In that they all were, and they might have all gotten that at the same time.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't really remember if Elton John and Paul got theirs at the same time. But anyways, everybody in that is a sir or a dame
Yeah.
or a queen.
Okay, we got to wrap it up there. This has been a lot of fun. We had a lot to cover, but I think we did a good job. So next week we'll be back with more She-Hulk, more Rings of Power, and whatever else comes up. I'm sure there'll be more breaking news. So
Yeah.
also we got Andor coming soon. We'll be
Yep.
covering
Very
that
soon.
as well. So and a bunch of animated stuff. Star Wars talking about Bad Batch is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi. So we're going to have a lot to talk about over the next few months. So everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.